Hi, welcome to Audiobook Academy. This is a self-paced audiobook. There's no need to keep an eye on things. Just pay attention. Thank you for taking the time to listen. This is a book summary of Focus, the Hidden Driver of Excellence by Daniel Goleman. When it comes to human capital in today's world, attention may be the new currency of value. The book Focus is a must-read for anyone who wants to learn how to improve their capacity for concentration and self-awareness. When it comes to cultivating a positive mental attitude and cultivating willpower, Daniel Goleman uses a variety of case studies to provide practical advice. As you read or listen to this summary, your mind will probably wander 20 to 40% of the time, and that zoning out is going to have an impact on what you remember. Afterward, we'll double-check this. Author Daniel Goleman, a renowned lecturer and former science journalist, makes the point that our attention is a limited resource and that all of us could benefit from increased focus. Herbert Simon, the Nobel Prize-winning economist, predicted this in 1997 when he warned that living in the information age creates a poverty of attention. In Focus, he explains how we're constantly fighting internal and external distractions that make it difficult to concentrate on the tasks at hand. To make matters worse, we are constantly bombarded by new technological advancements, which leaves us with even less time to reflect. This can make it difficult to concentrate, which is a problem when we have to read for understanding, think deeply, or communicate clearly. Isn't it counterproductive to constantly hopscotch or multitask, as Goleman puts it? In this summary, Goleman makes a strong case for the need to focus and build up our attention spans. It's not just about self-improvement, it's also about paying attention and shifting your focus to the larger picture, such as the sustainability of our planet, our own futures, and the futures of younger generations. Consequently, he asserts that it's not just about focusing on oneself, but also about solidifying the need for a group effort. In order to help us better understand the neurobiology of different types of attention, how self-awareness underpins our capacity for focus, and what we can do to strengthen our awareness at any stage of life, we are given guidelines. Attention isn't a straightforward concept. We are constantly reminded to pay attention, and this is because our thoughts tend to stray during the course of the day. Because our minds are constantly shifting between selective focus and open awareness, it's often recommended that we begin broad and narrow our scope as we work. This logic also applies to how we pay attention and are aware. It is possible to focus on a single stimulus with open awareness, while selective attention is more limited and allows us to focus on multiple stimuli at once. As long as we're able to keep our attention on one thing, we'll be able to learn. When we're distracted, our minds are filled with thoughts about things that have nothing to do with what we're doing. Forgetting information is extremely difficult to do. We can't just switch attention on a whim or sustain our focus indefinitely with this sharp focus, which is more like a narrow pipe. However, open and spontaneous awareness is very different, but it's just as important. It's possible to open ourselves up to a wider range of ideas by embracing a panoramic perspective. We are more receptive to new ideas, breakthroughs, and solutions when we are aware of our own drifting thoughts. By adopting this way of thinking, we lay the groundwork for deciding where to direct our concentrated attention. Our minds may wander, but it can lead us to solutions to problems we're trying to solve. It helps us think creatively and find solutions to problems. Trying to maintain cognitive control can make it difficult to switch to more free-flowing creative modes. This could have a negative impact on self-reflection, social navigation, new ideas, and future scenario planning. Just before a creative breakthrough, the systems that govern mind wandering are at their most active. Adults with attention deficit disorder, ADHD, are particularly adept at this type of imaginative problem-solving. They are more successful in their creative endeavors than those who do not have ADHD, and they have a higher level of original creative thought. They succeed despite, or perhaps because, of, their tendency to drift off. Open-mode attention aids our ability to maintain an internal focus. When our attention is on the grocery list, we miss out on the feelings, sensations, and memories that come with them. For this reason, the process begins by being open to possibilities and then deciding which insights to use with a conscious focus, and then moving from open awareness to narrow focus. Not all thoughts are bad, but they should never be taken for granted as the norm. Finding a good balance between the two, and deliberately shifting to open awareness, rather than being distracted by mind-wandering distractions, is ideal. Work, computer time, and commute time are prime times for daydreaming. Because our thoughts are skewed toward the negative, we become depressed, anxious, and stressed. It is therefore necessary for us to find a place, or set aside time, to immerse ourselves in a creative cocoon, as Goleman refers to it, where we can think creatively and recharge our batteries. In the same way that all things have limits, our ability to focus our attention does as well, and we get tired. Taking a break in a peaceful environment can help us regain our focus, according to Stephen Kaplan's attention restoration theory. Aside from these 2 points, it is important to note that not all activities aid in the recovery of fatigue. Activities such as internet surfing and playing video games are not good for the mind. Meditation, for example, is a good way to quiet the mind and engage our senses, as this reduces the amount of internal chatter. Attempt to strike a balance. Finding a happy medium can be a challenge because of the way our brains are wired. According to Einstein, the intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant, for example. In our society, the servant is honored, but we have forgotten about the gift. To better grasp the neurology underlying the 2 types of attention, consider them from the perspective of cognitive scientists, i.e., bottom-up and top-down concentration strategies. Full focus leads to being fully engaged, and this is also known as flow. When we're not fully focused, we're often disengaged and lacking in motivation and purpose. As a result, our nervous systems are overworked to the point of exhaustion. The ability to maintain complete concentration requires mastery of the great neural divide. When you're in the zone, this is a great tool. Everyone has a bottom-up and top-down mentality. The lower neural brain's machinery is instinctive and impulse-driven. Our habits and preconceptions are controlled by it, and it's constantly operating. However, the neocortex, or top-down, is the master of self-control, takes on planning and new behaviors, as well as the management of bottom-up impulses. Struggling to strike a balance is a common problem among people of all walks of life. It requires effort because the more impulsive bottom-up brain prefers to take control. Scientifically speaking, the brain circuitry for bottom-up functions reacts much faster than the prefrontal cortex does. The top-down mind, or prefrontal cortex, is geared toward survival, sustenance, and procreation. As a result, when we're distracted or overwhelmed with information, we're more likely to act impulsively. As a result, our self-control deteriorates in a technological world, which is why we tend to react rather than reflect, or reach for a piece of chocolate, rather than contemplate our action. Sensory and emotional overload can cause parts of our brain to go into neural hijack mode. We must wait for the left side of the brain to calm down the right side of the brain so that messages can be sent to both sides of it. This area of the left prefrontal cortex can be 30 times more active in people who are more resilient, according to Goleman. The good news is that we all have the ability to strengthen the neural circuitry that governs our ability to concentrate. We must pay attention to our own concentration spans in order to be successful, according to research. Concentration beats IQ every time. IQ isn't the best indicator of how successful we'll be, it's our ability to concentrate. Executive attention begins to develop in toddlers around the age of 3. Distraction avoidance and impulse control are all aspects of executive attention. Self-control relies on this type of cognitive control, which is at the heart of willpower, which is at the core of self-regulation. Successful people are those who are able to effectively manage their lives, and this can be seen from a young age. Our willpower is our fate, according to the Dunedin study conducted in New Zealand. I think it's one of the most important studies on what contributes to success. The early childhood development of just over 1,000 children was meticulously examined over the course of a year-long research project. Only 4% of the original sample had not been reassessed by the time the research subjects were located over 2 decades later. They were then examined in terms of their general well-being, financial security, and any criminal records they may have had. This data was then correlated with the earlier study's battery of tests for children. The study's results were fascinating, showing that children who had better self-control as young children were healthier, more financially successful, and more law-abiding. Self-control was found to be just as important as social class, the wealth of one's family, and even IQ when it comes to future financial well-being and physical well-being, according to the findings. Higher self-control has been linked to better academic performance, better emotional adjustment, better social skills and more adaptability. Even though we believe IQ is an important factor in success, a person's ability to concentrate is actually a much better indicator of their overall intelligence and aptitude than we had previously believed. Children's self-control levels are a critical factor in determining their future success, and we need to work hard to help them develop this skill. The Cookie Monster from Sesame Street has taught us a thing or two about savoring the moment. In spite of his moniker, the Cookie Monster constantly experiments with new methods of delaying his desire for cookies. You can try to distract your mind from the temptation in front of you, or you can choose to delay your pleasure because you know that there are better cookies nearby. For both children and adults, these lessons are critical and have resulted in a booming industry. Brain training games, particularly those that can be done online, have the potential to help us learn to focus. Some calming tech is also being developed by some in Silicon Valley, in order to bring more harmony to the online world. Children's calming technology includes apps aimed at helping them improve their ability to focus. Children's meditation techniques and apps like Tenacity, which help them focus, are also gaining in popularity. It's the holy grail of cognitive control, according to Goleman, to be able to stop on cue and shift from bottom-up to top-down responses. Take a breath of fresh air. In order to be a good leader, adults need to work on their ability to pay attention. The three different types of focus we have all form a unique trio. A good place to start is with cultivating an awareness of one's own values, beliefs, and instincts. Another focus allows us to connect with others in a meaningful way. Another technique is known as outer focus, which allows us to manage large-scale systems outside of our immediate surroundings. Think of it as an equilateral triangle, because any one of these can leave us unable to find our bearings, clueless, or completely blindsided. Today's business leaders, according to some experts, are in the middle of a siege. This is because the success of any leadership position is heavily dependent on these three areas of focus and how leaders understand and balance the focus trio. Prioritizing time for introspection and being aware of what we need are two key elements in maintaining the trifecta of well-being. By putting our attention on others, we can better connect with those in our immediate environment. Empathy can be fostered by putting oneself in the shoes of another. There are three types of empathy, as well. Whether or not we feel compelled to help others is a measure of our empathy. Outer focus completes the trio. This is critical because it calls for us to consider the long-term effects of our decisions and actions. This is essential in an increasingly globalized world because we must shift our focus and be aware of global systems that influence the very survival of our planet. We have to get out of our comfort zones when we shift our focus. BBM pins and sending them to your friends and family were a thing of the past. Who knows the whereabouts of BlackBerry? As a result, BlackBerry failed to break out of its comfort zone. It's been a long history for Apple to weather storms and adapt to market shifts. The fundamental truth is that companies must be alert to upcoming changes, and not waste time before adapting to a world that has already changed. Cognitive effort is the term used by scientists to describe the effort required to focus one's attention on a task. This book shows us that leaders need to have a full range of inner, other, and outer focus in order to excel. Everything will be off-kilter as a result of the weak link in the chain. The key is to balance the three and use each type of focus at the right time and in the right manner. So that's it. When you ask yourself, what's stopping you? You may have a short attention span or be distracted because of this. Procrastination and multitasking are two of the biggest killers of productivity and passion for work. In many cases, our unhappiness stems from the fact that we don't have a positive outlook on our work and personal lives. There's a sense that we're constantly distracted or disinterested, which causes us to feel anxious and stressed. We can learn a lot from this book because it teaches us how to retrain our brains to have intense concentration. Our passion for our work, projects, life, ourselves, and others may be reignited as a result. As a result, it aims at urging us to shift our perspective and consider the long-term needs of everyone around us, including the powerless and poor, as well as our own peers. Checking for wandering thoughts has not been overlooked. How about we test your knowledge by asking you a few questions? Sesame Street's character who struggles with self-control goes by what name? When it comes to being a successful leader, what are the three areas of focus? Is there a name for a significant study that evaluated the importance of self-control in children? What location served as the site of this well-known experiment? The main point is that we need to stop focusing on IQ and start focusing on concentration levels. Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Please don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. See you in next audiobook.